Already you have me cracking up. I want to thank you so much for making time to chat with me today. Happy Friday Eve. How
Happy
are
Friday.
you?
I'm doing very well. How you doing, Latasha?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. We got to get into all the things at Welcome to Derry. And I want to know, like, the most cliche question, but the realest question of them all. Like, honestly, what does it feel?
Hey, hey, hey.
It feel like being a part of the It franchise?
Um,
Like, I, I don't know if you grew up watching it like I did, or if you ever aspired or desired to, be a part of a project like this in your life. But I mean, you have to be feeling special.
it's interesting. So when I went and worked with Andy and did a reading with him and was up for the role in 2018. Um, I actually know Tim Reed, who was in the TV movie, and I had called him because I thought I had the role. So I called him and he was like, okay. He was like, who is this again? No, I'm joking. But then he was like, I'm happy for you. So let me know what happens.
Mhm.
And that had happened so long, like in the 80s for him.
Yeah.
And then I didn't get it. So I was like, I ain't calling back. Right.
Mhm.
But then, getting it this time, 6 years later was, definitely a dream come true. And listen, Stephen King's work is being produced and made in more than at a faster clip than I think anybody's. And it is I mean, it's the number one horror movie of all time. I think $707 million, right?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
and I've said this before, Andy and Barbara know how to make a hit. They made this a hit. I mean, both movies are a hit, right? And so to be a part of something that you have a feeling is going to be a hit, right? Because it already had those eyeballs on it, and on top of it, the IP, Stephen King, it is one of his biggest books, right?
Mhm.
And so I was hoping people would like it. But you never know because people, we a finicky bunch of people.
Fickle.
We
We were
finicky.
fickle.
You never know. We a little fickle, right?
Yes.
But I'm so happy, and I think that specifically speaking to you, because I do believe it applies. I think that a lot of my friends who look like me and look like us are so pleasantly surprised to see themselves so much. Like so many people are like, "Yo, is this a black show?"
Yeah.
And I'm right, and I'm like, "Well, it's not. It's not. I mean, the book isn't a black book. You know what I mean, Stephen King. But what it's tackling, what I love is that Andy, Barbara, Brad, and Jason didn't shy away from
Yeah.
talking about the things that actually existed in 1962, because I think it would have done everyone a disservice. And so the fact that you just don't see black folk and white folk, you also see indigenous people, even rich as Puerto Rican, right? You see a lot of us and people from all walks of life. And I think that when people watch it, in a lot of ways, like Lovecraft Country, they get to, invest in a way that maybe they wouldn't have if they didn't see themselves so much in it.
And let me ask, so aside from the diverse aspect and element of the project as a whole, this go round, like, in what other ways do you feel like the story this go round, differs from the previous two versions?
Well, I think that, I mean, listen, and whenever you create movies, it's 2 hours. I mean,
Yeah.
3 hours at the most is, a 2 hour movie is very different than, 8 episodes that are about like 8.5 hours. So
Yeah.
you don't have the ability to really delve into any character for the most part. I think one of the best things I enjoyed about it is that, when Blake's character Will tells his dad Leroy, who's played by Jovan, that something grabbed him that he believes in. Versus in the movies, typically the parents are always like, what are you talking about? Like they
Yeah.
don't, there's like a disconnect between the parents and the kids in the movies
Yeah.
versus, Hank knows something's going on.
Yeah.
Hank don't need Ronnie to say it. Something's going on, right?
Hmm.
And just like the other characters, you just get a sense that there's more of a connecting a connective tissue between something eerie going on in the town of Derry, and the fact that the adults, some of them have like they sense something's not right. And
Yeah.
I like that because it allows, I think, a deeper relationship between the parents and their kids
Yeah, yeah.
that
I
wouldn't
love that the
exist.
light was like really shines on that, aspect of the storytelling as a whole. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. And I think that also lends to, I think that lends to a certain, it might not be written in there, but I think that, the Black community, specifically at that time, non-market values. I mean, the spirituality in the Black community that exists now, existed even more so then and had to for various reasons that we all know about, right? And so I love that these characters, these parents actually do sense that there's something there because I think it speaks to the relationship that Black folk and indigenous people at that time had with their spiritual roots.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that leads me down a path of asking you, like personally, were there any particular scenes or a specific episode that was difficult or challenging for you to really like truly lean into? Because your character Hank, like there were a lot of layers there. You know what I mean? I'm like, dang man, like I ain't getting it. Like I'm like, man, like let Hank out. Like what's going on? So
I think that there's a lot of scenes that nobody will ever see that were that were discussed between the creatives and myself and different characters that I had to, like, for example, when the bus turns over and everybody's dead but Hank, right? You then have to believe that through Hank that these things have happened.
exactly.
So what makes it challenging as an actor is to make sure that you're coming into a scene revealing things that were shared through word of mouth or through the news, and yet as an actor you still have to make sure that it's being worn on you.
Yeah,
So when an audience is watching Hank in the back seat, and then Hank get out the car, and even the way in which him and Ingrid kiss,
yeah,
right? It's not a beautiful kiss. It's a different yearning. It's
yeah,
more of a need. It's a need of connection,
yeah.
right? And so it's very hungry. It's like a hunger to it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a, like when
First.
you,
Yeah,
yeah, it's like exactly when when you want to hug somebody so much or you miss somebody so much that you feel like you would want them to be inside you.
yeah,
It's like that type of thing. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
absolutely.
Right? That you can't articulate, but you feel, and we've all felt that as human beings, right?
Yeah.
And I think those are the parts that I had to be so much more surgical on. And
Mhm.
because if you don't see that on him, like
Yeah, yeah,
here
yeah.
and here, you don't believe it.
So Dan, talk to me about the approach that you took, like pulling back the authenticity of Hank. Like from who you are as a man personally, and I don't know, like hopefully that makes sense the way I'm
That
asking.
makes a lot of
Like,
sense.
how did you look? I'm gonna
Makes
call
a
it
lot
the
of
double A.
well, well,
The
well,
your approach to the authenticity of your character.
Well, I think one, I genuinely believe that, when you look at Viola Davis, like Viola Davis brings what she brings to every role
Yeah,
because she's authentic. So I think first and foremost, like we have to acknowledge our own instruments and how things resonate off of us. I'm
yeah.
not the biggest BSer. I can small talk, but I'm probably not the biggest small talk person. Typically, if somebody sees me calling, first and foremost, they're like, if I don't got at least 30 minutes, I ain't picking up this phone call. You know what I mean? And Stefan
Okay.
wants to ask how you doing, how your family doing. Like
Yeah.
I want to ask questions, right? How you been? You been good? How you feeling? I hear it in your voice. You good?
Yeah.
Okay, Latasha, you sick today? What happened? You out in you ain't wearing no coat yesterday? What's going on, girl?
Right. You
What's
sitting up
going
here
on?
in this Chicago weather,
Yeah, that's
you
right,
visit to
right. But
LA.
I want to know these things because I'm just curious. It's just how I'm very curious, right? I ask a lot of questions. But I also I went to school for acting, but after I went to school, I started working with this man named Tony Greco.
Mhm.
And in terms of what he taught, it's really asking why does a character do what they do? It's psychological, right? Why does a character do what they do? It's not just revealing a character, it's about asking why a person does what they do, right? And
Okay.
to understand Hank, you have to understand more about yourself. And so, Hank, naturally, every character has to resonate off of my instrument, right? Because my instrument is mine. I don't have Denzel's instrument. I don't have Sam Jackson's instrument. I have my instrument. And
Mhm.
so I have to, one, then see what resonates. What parts of Hank do I naturally resonate? Right? Because
Mhm.
I have to create something that naturally is. But then I have to be very clear on understanding what parts of Hank I don't naturally. Right.
Yeah.
So a great example I can give you, and not just Tony Greco, but my friend who's a colleague of mine, Latasha Rose, helped me work through Hank throughout the whole show.
Okay.
It's important to, I believe, work with people. Jean-Louis helped me with my movement, right, in terms of my body, because Jean-Louis was my professor at UCLA who teaches Alexander technique, who also works with a lot of other, a lot like Margot Robbie. He's worked with a lot of
Yeah.
people. And
Yeah.
so these are the people I work with, Paul Wagar for voice and speech, because it's important to understand your blind spots. You know what I mean? You got to know your blind spots. And you don't know it if you don't have people helping you see things that maybe you can't see.
No,
Now, how do you put those together is a whole different thing.
I love that you mentioned that because a lot of times, not a lot of times, but more often than not, when I'm speaking with actors such as yourself, I love to truly get into the nitty-gritty of it all. Because listen, just because Hank is moving this way, walking this way, standing this way at the cell, that does not mean that, there's choreography that goes into,
Absolutely. I mean, and you
you
have to
know,
be absolutely, absolutely.
And I think that from a viewer's perspective, like people just assume, they're not thinking about the art of movement,
No,
right? The
no,
art behind the
no.
choreography, your posture and so on and so forth. So typically, how long does it take for you to release a character that you have taken on?
It took me a long time for this guy. I didn't want to work for a minute, but it was because I was emotionally drained. I think it
Mm.
wasn't just working on Hank, it was also the fact that it was the strike that happened, so
Yeah,
I had never worked. I don't think any of us like, typically, even if you work on a show for, 4 or 5 months, at some point you let it down, right? You let it go. But we had a strike that lasted 6 months, right? And we were supposed to film for like 10 or 11 months anyway. So we all of a sudden were now a part of a project that went on a year and a half to almost 2 years.
yeah,
So I'm still asking a million questions about Hank and still building my relationship with Amanda, right? And still, so we're talking to each other all the time, even more so because we are on this journey together. And on top of it, a strike is happening, in which, we ain't working. So we just,
right,
right? So I had to hold on to him a lot longer than I knew I was going to have to. And
wow.
so I finished, I know, talking to like Chris and Jovan and Taylor and everybody for that matter, and the kids too. I mean, everybody was exhausted. And Hank is very demanding,
Yeah.
just because he's living literally in life and death.
Literally. So I
Literally.
think speaking to that point, like what would you say Hank's biggest fear was?
Losing, I created that he had made a promise to his wife before she passed away that he would always protect his daughter.
Yeah.
To see that slipping away, I
Wow.
think is the biggest fear. I think it's beyond him dying. I think it's the fact that he wouldn't be able to see his daughter through and keep that promise.
Yeah.
You
What
know,
is one thing?
what did Jay-Z say? When my word was everything, because everything you said you did, you did it. You couldn't talk about it if you ain't lived it. Like there's something about a man or a woman's word,
Ugh,
and
yeah.
especially back then, right? Especially
Mhm.
because go ahead. I'm sorry. I can keep.
No, no. Listen, keep going. I'm here for
Yeah.
you. It's true.
Because I think a lot of people also like even with him and Ingrid, people are like, I don't understand why he would, you know, we we talk with the writers and and Madeline and I with Andy and Barbara and Brad and Jason and they met through Kismet. It wasn't like Hank was searching her out, and it wasn't like she was searching him out. It
Exactly.
just so happened that this one night when he's taking down posters at the theater, she happens to be the only person left in there that nobody even knew she was in there.
Yeah.
And he's in this, it's in this passing of her leaving and him doing his job
Mhm.
that they see each other. Whereas though, for the most part, he doesn't talk to patrons. He doesn't, because they don't see him.
Right.
They don't see him. It's 1962. He was a black help in a lot of
Yeah.
ways, right?
Yeah.
And they happen to have this exchange that allows them in that moment to see each other as human beings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Sometimes that's what happens. Sometimes in Chicago, you just happen to be on an L train and somebody nudges up against you or the train makes you fall into somebody and you have this conversation that you genuinely would not have on any other day. It just so happens that this one thing happens that changes the very nature of that moment. And that's what happened. He wasn't looking for that and she wasn't looking for it. But life happens in that way.
That's so true.
Life unfolds in that way, and I think that's what makes it I think it's what makes life beautiful.
I was just, that's literally what I was just about to say. Those to me are the most beautiful moments in life,
Right? Right? But
unplanned, just,
you can't prepare for them, and yet they happen every day. If
yeah.
now if you're looking for them, right? They're always happening, right? These
Mhm.
miracles happen. I think listen, children see them every day, right? They live in the world of miracle because that's the state that they live in. They live in their imagination. But as humans, we a lot of times are moving so much in our own rhythm that it takes something to kind of knock us out of our rhythm to even notice these miracles, right?
Yeah.
And I think that day specifically, that's what happened to them.
And I think speaking of moments as an actor, like for you professionally, like what do you do day to day to make sure that when opportunities come across your, desk, your lap, your ear, your email, your agent, so on and so forth, how do you ensure that you are always prepared?
You know,
Prepared to step into your yes.
like for example, uh I was listening to like Minnie Riperton,
Okay. Yeah.
back down memory lane. I
Hey,
can't
don't
sing,
start no stuff now,
right?
Stephanie.
Right. I stumbled on a picture, right? And so it's those types of things. It's reading a play, but I think even more so interesting. It's not like Viola Davis is sitting in the classroom. And I think when I was a younger actor, I mean, I did it for a long time. I was always in class, like always. But I do think that although it's important to be in class, it's also understanding that life is class. And it's the way in which you live your life that will either bring more breath to your life or it won't because you're just kind of passing through, right? And so whether or not that's me just slowing down and making my bed, but really being in the moment of making the bed, right? Or using a monologue and making the bed, or things like that. It's how much can I bring creativity in my daily life, right? Where I'm living more vividly in that moment and not just because a lot of times, your body is on cruise control,
Yeah.
right? Once you learn something, your body knows it, it becomes second nature. And so, but when you're creating something, you need to be in the moment. And so, what I've learned, because sometimes I don't have as much time, but if I have time, at night and I'm singing that song, and that song opens me up to something completely different, right? Then
Mhm.
now I'm using this song as a sensory tool that opens the floodgates to whatever, and it leads to different moments and different moments. And so, I think it's learning how to become more improvisational with yourself.
Mm, mm,
You have to learn how to become more improvisational because people think it's about class, 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 but class is important, but it's also about you have to learn how to live.
yeah,
But I think maybe that's what we're talking about. I think you have to find a reason to live. You know how like people say, "Yo, dog, I die for you, son. I'll die." No, live for me.
yeah,
Make a choice in your life to live for people, not to die for somebody. Right.
yeah,
And so I think the more clear you are on a daily basis of what are you trying to accomplish today? If I can find just a brief moment to find something creative, even
Hmm.
if that's just going for a walk, or when I go, or when I'm walking to the train in New York City, just taking a moment to actually take in the sun or take in the sky, right? It's those moments that I think the more you can find those in your daily life, the more space you'll have when you're creating on set.
Are those some of the ways that you posture yourself to stand out amongst the rest? Stand out amongst those gunning for that same spot, as you are?
I don't think about it. Listen, it's a good question. I think that if I'm doing that, that means I've limited myself on who I believe myself to be.
Okay.
Meaning, because it means that I believe I'm a crab in a barrel. If I
Mm,
believe that there's something greater than me, and that which is greater than me has limitless potential, right? That I could become anything, I can do anything, right? I don't look at. I think that I have a problem with the word idol because the moment you idolize someone, it means that you can't become that
yeah.
because you're saying that thing is separate from you. There's a disconnect, and
Mhm,
that's not true. You
mhm.
have to humanize people, no matter how big you think they are,
Yeah.
because in doing so, it means that you're in relationship to them.
Yeah.
And so I don't believe that anybody has the ability to take anything from me, but I
Yeah.
also don't believe that anybody has the ability that I have the ability to do the same thing. I can't take something from someone, right? It's impossible. And it's because we don't see the world the same way. It's kind of like looking through a kaleidoscope,
Yeah.
and then as people were competing with the different fractal within a kaleidoscope that makes up the way in which we see life. Yo,
Yeah.
what I see, that little pixel I see is better than yours, son. No, mine is better than yours, son. And it's like, no, it's a part of something bigger.
Yeah.
And as long as I'm okay with playing my part, but then being happy for Michael B. Jordan because he got nominated for Sinners, being
Right.
happy for Trammell because he got nominated for Severance, being
Hmm.
happy for whoever, right? For Leonardo DiCaprio or Chase Infinity
Yeah.
for their. I'm happy for everybody. I don't believe anybody has some. One, I don't want what you have. I
Yeah.
don't. If
Yeah.
anything, you inspire me that I know I can have it too, because we're a part of a collective, right? So
Absolutely.
you don't have anything that I want. I know that mine is already here. It's not coming, it exists.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
know what I'm saying?
Listen, we can I feel like we can go on and on and on, but I know our time is coming to a close. Will there be a season two? Do
I
you
don't
know
know.
any
I
buzz?
don't. I don't know. I plead the fifth. I think. Listen, it's doing
Okay.
so well. I think that. I think if they want to do it, it will be done. I think,
Yeah.
for a show to be the number third biggest show ever on HBO and HBO Max
Mhm.
speaks for itself. And so, excuse me, as they say, that's above my pay grade. But I feel like if you got a hit, you know what I mean?
Yes. And my
Is
last
Kendrick gonna make another album?
and Stefan, my last question to you is, what is the one takeaway that you have from this project at Welcome to Derry?
Gratitude.
Mm,
I'm very thankful and I am um you dream for this. It's one thing to be on something. It's another thing to be a part of something that actually changes the very nature of culture or has the ability to impact people from all walks of life throughout the whole world. And I write this down in my journal. So one, it's incredible because what you believe is also what you receive.
yeah, that's true. That's
And
true.
so to me, it's evidence that I'm on the right path. And the more and more I expand my vision of myself, the
Mhm.
more these blessings and incredible things come not just to me, but I think to other people that do the same thing.
Oh my God. Well, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on
Thank you so
all
much.
of the success.
I
And I hope to
appreciate
talk with you soon.
Okay. Oh, we will. Trust me. We just getting started. We just cooking, baby girl.
All right, listen, I hear you. We there.
That's
Thank you
right.
so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Happy holidays to you and feel better.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.